pills. They're cheap. They're like $1 each. I have
Yes,
20
yes.
pills of them everywhere. A couple in the car, a couple here, a couple in the office.
All right. So today we opened up our conversation talking about glasses.
That's right.
Yes, yes. This is another Actors Talk presented to you by the Orlando Urban Film Festival. And today I am met by another one of our amazing nominees, Boaz Dvir. Did I say that right, Boaz? All
You
right,
nailed
good.
it.
All right, great, great. Boaz is an award-winning writer, director, producer. He tells the story of ordinary people who, under ordinary circumstances, transform into trailblazers who change the world around them. His documentaries include Class of Her Own, which he's nominated for, Kojat, a Nazi, Jesse's Dad, and A Wing and a Prayer. And we've all heard of A Wing and a Prayer. So, Boaz, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Now, again, we are here to talk about your nomination for Best Documentary that'll be screening at the Orlando Urban Film Festival at the end of this month, August 29th, 30th, and 31st. Um, Boaz, where are you joining us from today? Where are you calling in from?
I happen to be in Raleigh, North Carolina,
Okay.
visiting my in-laws with my family.
Okay, nice,
But
nice.
I usually live in State College, which is smack in the middle of Pennsylvania, and it's home of Penn State.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking your time out. I really do appreciate it. I know you're there spending time with your family, but you took your time to talk to me. So I appreciate you. Boaz, will you be joining us in Orlando? In August?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
First, I'm excited to be part of this festival. It's an honor. It's great. So I'm really thrilled to go and join and yeah, screen my film, but also see other films and participate in everything else that's going on. And living in Pennsylvania, I do look for any excuse to come to Florida.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Have you been to Orlando before?
Many times. So
Yes,
I used to live in Gainesville. I was at the University of Florida.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. It's my alma mater. And then I went back and taught there for 10 years. So very strong connection. So I've been to Orlando many, many times.
Yes, yes. So you share in the love that we all have for Florida and Orlando. So you know the vibes, Boaz.
Yeah, yeah. It's easygoing. It's fun. People
Yes.
are friendly. The sun is shining. The food is great. I love
Oh,
it.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's
That's
not to
very
like?
true. That's right. That's right. And it's beautiful and it's clean.
Yes, I
um,
agree.
Yes, Boaz. Now, your documentary is not only hitting the Orlando Urban Film Festival, but you've been making waves at other film festivals as well with your documentaries. And I think that that's absolutely amazing. I always like to just take the time to celebrate. I know that you were selected and now you're nominated, but really I hope that you take your time in these moments and really celebrate yourself and celebrate your life as a filmmaker, because it's not an easy thing that you're doing and creating all of these great stories. So cheers to you. Now, you tell riveting stories, as we mentioned earlier, that you have other documentaries, and your documentaries have been on some of the most popular, most prominent streaming networks that we all watch. So, will you tell me a little bit about how you go about getting your documentaries on these larger networks?
Well, I think I've been lucky. I've stumbled upon some amazing stories and some amazing protagonists like Gloria, Merriex, and others over the years. And if you devote yourself and do everything you possibly can and work really hard to bring their story to the screen, then they attract a great deal of attention. And
Yes.
so, what happens quite often is actually folks come after you. They find out, they want to talk to you, they want to watch. Once they watch, they get very excited and they
Yes.
tend to bring it in. So the luck begins, I think, with finding these stories and then working as hard as you possibly can to do them justice. Because these stories, like Gloria Jean Merriex, like Class of Her Own, they're bigger than life characters who've undergone extraordinary circumstances and rose up to the occasion. And if you could do the same to some degree, right? I can never really match these protagonists and what they accomplish. But if I can be inspired by them, and if I can aim to reach a certain level of excellence in my field as much as they did in their field, then I think that really brings in the likes of PBS and the New York Times and Hulu and Amazon Prime and you name it, all really eager to take these stories and share them with their viewers.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really great for filmmakers to hear you say that too, because you don't have to push and fight your way into things when it's right and when everything is aligning and the work is done and the work is good. You will start to attract these things. That's very good information. Now, will you tell us a little bit about Class of Her Own, which you are nominated for?
So Class of Her Own tells the story of Gloria Jean Merriex, and she was an educator in Gainesville, Florida, so 2 hours north of Orlando. And she lived in a rough area of town. She was born there, she grew up there. She ended up going to the University of Florida, got her education degree. I really could have gone anywhere, but chose to go back to her neighborhood.
Yeah.
And, I'll never forget the first time I went to this neighborhood because I felt ashamed. I felt ashamed, A, that I had not visited before, and B, that we, myself included, as a society, have not done enough to really remedy the situation where you have a very low socioeconomic part of town where kids are not receiving the basics that they need to survive, much less thrive, which they deserve, right? And to see this in a town where on the west side of town, this is the east side, on the west side, it's prosperous. You got the University of Florida, you have mansions, you have all sorts of everything that you really could imagine.
Yeah.
Not to mention on top of that the rest of the country is in a great shape. I mean, yeah, I know the stock market collapsed a couple of days ago, but it revived itself. The bottom line is this is the richest country in the world, right?
Yeah.
This is the strongest economy in the world. So for me to see a place where so many kids are not getting enough food, don't have health care, don't have dental care, don't have people looking out for them, it's shameful to me. And this is the place that Gloria chose to go and really spend her career. She never left. She stayed her whole 30 years in this one place. And she worked hard, but for the first 25 years, she was an average teacher, which is not to take anything away from her or average teachers. Average teachers are passionate, hardworking, knowledgeable, caring, right?
Yes.
They're great. The average teacher is a great human being who, by the way, as a side note to all this, really deserves more credit in our society as well.
Yes.
And that's how she operated for 25 years. And she got mediocre results, right? She was happy if her students passed. That was good enough.
Yeah.
Why? Because 95% of them, 95%, right, were on universal free meals. That's not the same as subsidized lunch. Universal free meals mean that you are in such a low socioeconomic bracket that you qualify to come back to the school cafeteria on weekends, holidays, and during the summer.
Ooh, yeah.
Because otherwise, as a child, you're not getting the nourishment that you need.
Yeah.
So with this kind of student population, Gloria felt, well, if they pass, they simply pass, that's good enough. And that's how she operated. And then in 2002, the test that the school that she taught at took was very high stakes because a year or so earlier, President Bush passed the No Child Left Behind law act, which really raised the stakes everywhere, all around the country for these kind of tests, particularly in Florida and in Texas, of all places. Although really everywhere, there was tons of pressure on kids and teachers and everyone to really excel in these tests. And schools were giving grades and funding and other measures based on those grades. And this school where Gloria taught, which was Duval Elementary in East Gainesville, Florida, it did okay. Basically, it was a D to C kind of school. But in 2002, as the stakes were so high, it failed the test, which was then called the FCAT. I don't think we have it anymore. Florida Comprehensive Assessment Test. I don't know if you as a child here in Florida remember that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I won't say that I don't think we have it anymore. There, maybe they just call it something different now. But these
Right.
standardized tests are still in place. Yes.
They are still in place. I think they call it something else, but they've lowered the stakes.
Yeah.
They have throughout the country, even in Florida, they have lowered the stakes wisely. But back then it was everything. So Duval Elementary fails the FCAT. And what does the district do? The district tells the teachers, well, follow the curriculum more, use the scope and sequences more, follow the pacing guides more closely.
Yeah.
And the teachers say, okay, we've done all that. It's not like we haven't. I guess we'll do more of it. And Gloria said, that's it. Enough's enough.
Yeah.
You're asking me to do more of the same.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of results do you think that's going to yield when you do more of the same?
Mm-hmm.
More of the same results. And she had an epiphany. She realized that she herself was letting down her students by expecting so little. So she raised her expectations of her students and herself, and she completely rebelled against the district, really risking her job because she was threatened with firing. She said, I'm not doing this anymore. In fact, I'm not following any of your guidelines. I'm reinventing myself and reinventing the way I teach to meet my students where they are in an authentic way.
Yeah.
So she threw away the curriculum and rewrote it from scratch using nomenclature that the kids could relate to, that made sense to them, right? Using situations that they found themselves in so they can really adjust and learn the proper way. So she completely wrote a new curriculum that made it relevant for her students. And she took other measures. She started practicing tough love, really being tough with the kids. She felt that's what they needed. Loving, caring, but also tough. Tougher than she'd ever been before. And this is the fun part, the part that most people gravitate to, she started teaching reading and math and later science too, using hip hop and dance movement, as well as chanting, which she picked up at church.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you might imagine, the district did not like it. Her colleagues were frightened by it, like, whoa, what are you doing? You're going to get us all in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? But she brought in the Principal Lee McNeely, whom she known for many years. She brought her into her classroom. She said, look, Lee, take a look at the students. And Lee was blown away because the students were engaged, not just on a whole new level, but in a completely new way. Lee could tell that they were really learning. They were really engrossed in what they were doing. They really cared. They were soaking it up. Yeah. It's not just that they were dancing and enjoying themselves. No. They were really learning. So McNeely did something really smart. She joined the rebellion. She joined Gloria. Said,
nice.
Let's succeed or fail together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the key on the FCAT in terms of the grade for a school is reading for 3rd and 4th graders and math for 5th graders. So Lee McNeely had Gloria teach all the 3rd and 4th graders reading and all the 5th graders math. She moved Gloria into the library, which was the biggest space. Yes. And her class size was as many as 50 or even more, 55 students per class.
Wow.
So that Gloria could teach everyone who was going to take these subjects on the FCAT these topics properly.
Nice.
And so Gloria took this little school with Lee's help, right? With Lee's assistant. She took this little school from an F to an A in 1 year.
Revolutionary.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the story. That's the class of our own story. There's more to it than that I don't want to give away too much.
Yes.
I want people to come watch.
You did absolutely great telling that story, and that's not something that can, be discussed in such a short amount of time, because there's so much to unpack there, and there's so much that deserves recognition. Gloria did great things, and I hope now still that schools and teachers are following the blueprint that she made, because education is not a square peg in a square hole. There's so much more that comes along with it, especially the children's home life and their mental health, and all of that goes into how they learn. And so that's revolutionary to me.
Gabby, you're absolutely right. I mean, we should be using this blueprint throughout the country.
Yeah.
Sadly, we're not. Sadly, we're not. And if anything, since this took place, and the story takes place between 2002 and 2008, mainly. And since then, I would say that things have gotten worse, that the cookie cutter approach that we see in education is even more widespread, and teachers are even more afraid to step out of the way and do it their way, and are just caught up in this cookie cutter way that's not really helping students. And so we're losing more and more students at a time when a customized approach is more vital than ever, because 2024 is a very different time than 2002. If you think about it, just think about, for instance, AI. In 2002, not only didn't we have access to AI, it was just science fiction. We didn't really understand what it can do,
That's right.
And so things are very different now than they were then. Also, in terms of what we see online, in terms of disinformation, deep fakes, misinformation, propaganda, conspiracy theories, that has completely exploded and really is affecting the way children think or don't think.
Whew. I have children.
And then add to it,
yes.
it's a whole, and then add to it the fact that in 2002, guess what? We didn't have social media. And today it's really, and according to many scientists and researchers, really harming a lot of the youth in this country and children.
Yeah. A while ago, a few months ago, my son comes in and he says, "Mom, the castle at Disney World is burning down." And I I said, "No, it's not. Like, I didn't receive that information at all." So number one, I knew that it wasn't true. Number two, I educated him, like, you have to do the research yourself. Please stop believing everything that you may see on TikTok. That's not the way that your brain should be thinking. You have to do it yourself. You have to get certain understanding. I also educate my kids and let them know there are right answers for your test, and there are things that you have to grasp that information for yourself and know things for yourself. So everything doesn't come from your phone, and everything may not come from your teacher. Be a thinker outside of the box and go for more. It sounds like that's what Gloria did. She thought outside of the box. And you said she was just a regular teacher for 25 years. It took her a while to break that mold and to realize that she didn't have to do exactly what they were telling her to do. And as for somebody that just sort of came into that myself, I connect with that, because you can't always do what you've been taught to do, especially in school. They kind of structure it a certain way and make you think that you're supposed to have this type of life. You're supposed to do these type of things. But man, when you really start to think outside of the box and connect with other things, magic can happen. Really can happen. So the lives that she touched, even though it was, a short amount of time, and maybe the structure that she set into place didn't last, I know that the students' lives that she impacts, she planted a seed, and those students will then go on and plant seeds in other people. And the revolutionary continue. The revolution continues, and that's a big impact that Gloria had.
Yes. Yes, you're right, and good for you, Gabby, for telling your kid to think for himself.
Yes.
Because I find kids are not doing that anymore. And it's a shame. And Gloria did teach her students to think critically and not just to accept what was thrown at them. And this is before social media and before all of this. She understood that these kids, if they don't gain the skills to think critically, to fact find, to tell fact from fiction, then they're going to be lost in this world. She knew that. And she wanted to give them the skills that they can take for the rest of their lives. And when I speak to her former students, that's precisely what I see again and again.
Yes. A class of her own, a classroom rebellion for the ages. It doesn't just stop there. It doesn't just stop with Gloria. So continuing to tell this story and putting it out there for people to see, it's going to the revolution continues. It just opens up your mind. As I was reading through all of the information, just reading it, not even seeing the visuals, my mind was opening up to more things. And you're a part of that storytelling, and that's amazing. You're a great storyteller.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now, the Miss Gloria had a street named after her. Is that right? And where's that located?
In East Gainesville, Florida. It's right
Nice,
there. Yeah.
nice. Is that
Gloria
close
Jean
to
Merriex Way.
what is it?
It's called Gloria Jean Merriex Way.
Nice, nice. I
Yeah.
hope everybody that passes that street knows what that means, and they continue to catch hold of that and do something for the lower class communities, because it's important. There is a documentary about same Duval County about Moncrief. Have you ever heard of Moncrief? Yes, they're doing a
Yes.
documentary, and they're like, there's so much on the other side that people don't go across to see, but they're educating people and letting them know the rich history there. I absolutely, absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Also in your documentary, Gloria started a math team, right? Will you tell me a
Yes.
little bit about the math team?
So once the school became successful, it really, captured the attention of other teachers and administrators and policymakers around the state, as well as Georgia, by the way. So
Nice.
people requested to find out what's going on, and many came. Many actually made the trip and went into Gloria's classroom and observed her. It started to become very common for there to be visitors who came in, scholars, administrators, other teachers, students in college of education who would come in and observe almost really every day. There were people observing her for a long time, for
Yeah.
years. But there were others who wanted her to come and perform. And so she created this math team, and they went on the road and they brought it to conferences. They brought it to schools everywhere, Atlanta, Miami, Orlando, Jacksonville, you name it. And it was great. For the kids, it often meant the very first time they left Gainesville ever.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
many of the kids had never left. Many of those kids had never left the east side of Gainesville, but many of them had never left Gainesville at all. And so this trip really was wonderful for them. They got to see another part of the country. They often did some extracurricular activities like go to a zoo or a park, and that was great for them. Many of them had never seen animals really, other than maybe street cats or something, or dogs. Really,
Yeah.
it was
Yes.
wonderful. And then the performance itself was very inspiring for the performers, in the sense of, wow, all these people are here to see me and I get to perform. Was great for their self-esteem. And,
Yes.
and they had to maintain a B or above average to get into and stay on the math team. So it was competitive. It was a wonderful enterprise.
Yes, yes. And I know that just that math team must have held its own challenges, but she pulled through. I know that you have to have funding in place, all these permissions in place, but she didn't let the work of it stop her. And that's a beautiful thing, to have to pull off something like that. It's not easy. Let's see here. Boaz, where can our viewers connect with you, find out more about your work, or for potential collaborations?
Oh, I'm happy to provide my, I don't know if there's a chat here. Yeah, I'll put my email in the chat,
Okay.
and I'm happy to hear from folks. I'll
All
also
right.
put here's my email, as well
Okay.
as my handle on Twitter, X.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So
Yeah.
when I post this video, we'll be able to share all of that, all of your where people can connect with you, and hopefully it brings about some great collaborations and these rich and deep stories that you're a part of telling. If you could give a filmmaker advice, someone who wants to maybe go into creating documentaries just like you, what advice would you give to someone following in your shoes?
Number one, be curious,
Yeah.
and let your curiosity lead you to a great story. Don't shy away from stories that you might feel have been done. Now, it's true that most of my stories are untold, right? It's not like there was another story about Gloria and I found a different way to tell it. That's true. But I also have discovered sometimes that we see a story, we think, oh wow, it's been done. Then you look into it and you realize, oh wow, there's so many aspects of it that have not been told. So really, the most important thing is to find something you're excited about. And how can you tell if something is worth telling, right? How can you tell what makes for a great story? Well, I look first and foremost for a compelling protagonist, and I look for a change. I look to see, did this protagonist, as a result of what they experienced, undergo a change? And if so, did it lead them to make an impact on the world around them, right? So if you can find someone who, went through something, perhaps even tragic, but as a result of that, took on a new role in their life and sought to make a positive impact on a specific industry or community or whatever it might be, something specific. It can't just be the whole world, because then it gets too general. And if that person took action, right, it wasn't just something they wanted to do, but they did take some action, then I would say you probably have a very good story to tell, even if they failed, because it's in the action that protagonists provide viewers with a journey that they can join and learn from.
That's good. That's so good. That's so rich, like that information. That's really a way of thinking about creating documentaries. That's a mindset, is what I'm trying to say. And maybe that mindset is what has led you to all of these award-winning projects, and now you're nominated again for Class of Her Own, and this story lives on. Gloria's story lives on. And someone like me, a mother of children in elementary school, I had to learn. I realized that people are not going to tell you, the school is not going to tell you to make sure that you're staying deeply connected, make sure that you're present. I think just your presence is everything when it comes to your children's education. My children, they're easy to manage. They're scholars, so I don't have to do. I never had to do a whole lot. They just kind of got it, and because they were very easy and they always maintained good grades. I didn't realize that I needed to remain present. I needed to make sure that they are following the curriculum and that I am also following it with them. That if there's a book that they need to read, I also need to review that book and find out what information the school is giving to them so that I could also set that tone for them at home. So it was a learning curve to me. So when I came across a Class of Her Own, I was like, man, this is right up my alley. So now I'm present in my children's school. I coach, I'm there, I mentor. I'm present, but it took me a while to learn that my presence was very necessary. And not only am I there now, but I'm also there as representation for the other students that are around. It's really impacted my life. So thank you for following Gloria's story, doing the work, doing the research, and now it's led you to yet another nomination, because it really is a great story. So congratulations again, Boaz. And
Thank you.
all right.
It's nice to be nominated, and I appreciate that.
Yes.
The thrill for me is to see the audience react to this. When I sit with them and watch, people laugh, they cry, they clap, they sing along, they stomp their feet.
Yes.
And that's just the joy. Even of course, in Gainesville, as I'd imagine, when I screened it for the family and friends and everyone, the place went crazy. But even in other places where people don't know the story, they react this way. And that's the joy for me is the impact that Gloria can still have on folks today. And I just want to say that her lesson was not for other teachers to use hip hop necessarily, let's say, or to practice tough love, because not everyone can pull that off.
Yeah.
And not every group of students reacts to that. You
Yeah.
need both, right? I can be with the right kind of group of students that may love hip hop, but you don't want to see me rapping. No one, no one wants that, right? So it's
Yeah.
got to be both. It's got to be both the needs and the context of your student population, coupled with what's authentic for your faculty.
Yes.
What do
Yes.
they do that's really true to who they are, that connects to? That's the key. And so that was her message, not to use any one specific approach, but to step out of the cookie cutter mentality, to figure out who the students are
Yes.
and really connect with them in the best way possible. That's the message, and that's what's missing. And it's one of those messages that's very simple to explain and get. I think everyone gets it. No one
Yeah.
says, well, what does that mean? No, everyone gets it.
Mm-hmm.
Really difficult to pull off. I understand,
Yes.
especially for teachers who've been stuck in a certain mode for 5, 10, 15 years, right? This is how they teach. It's hard to shift away from that. And it wasn't easy for Gloria either.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to take to prepare our children for a whole new way of life that really did not exist in 2002 and certainly not in the 20th century. It's a whole new world today, and we have to approach our educational system in a new way. Why is it that every industry has innovated several times in the last 150 years, but we still teach our children exactly the same way
Right.
as we always have? It doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, we are our communities. We are our schools, and we have to take accountability for that. And if teachers would develop that mindset, of course, teaching is a job, and if you're not happy in one place, you can leave and go to another. But if you say, you know what, I'm not happy here. What can I change? How can I help? This is my school, my community. I'm going to be a part of this. And that is when change starts. You have to be the change that you want to see. And if your students are not doing well, you know, if my children are not doing well, I have one job as a mother. Like, you know, you have to do your job, and you have to stick with it. The students are worth sticking with, and change and going against the grain, and making those adjustments. Yeah. So
Absolutely. By the way, how old are your children?
Ah, I have a 13-year-old son. I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. And
Oh,
they all did so great. One of my kids made the principal's list. The other one made the dean's list. I'm so proud
wow.
of them. And I'm not trying to brag, because it wasn't me. It's literally just who these children came out to be. I think I give credit to their father. He was a scholar himself. So it made it easy for the kids to grab hold of books and learning, and they don't let anything get over their head. One thing I do tell them is that every teacher is going to be different from year to year. You'll experience different teachers. They're all an experience. Sometimes you'll have these teachers that are really helpful and they help you to grow, and other times you'll have teachers where it's like, I just got to get through this school year and then I'll be on to the next. But it doesn't stop the work that you do as a student. You get through, you get to your victory and to your finish line, no matter who's standing in your way. And that's how we rock, you know.
Nice, nice.
Yes.
What a blessing. Congrats. That's exciting. I have twin boys who are 7.
Oh, 7. Nice. Do
Yeah.
you have other children as well?
No, just the
Twin
twin boys,
boys.
7
That
years
must
old.
be fun.
Yeah. Is your 7-year-old going into 2nd grade?
Yes, he is.
Same for mine. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So
Excited to go to school.
yes, I mean, they are, and actually in Florida we start back next week. Well, you know that we start
Yeah.
back next week. So I'm so excited to see what 2nd grade brings for him and who he develops into being. The one thing I want is just for them to stay excited about education, and continue to seek it and want to grow. So that's my biggest thing for them.
Yeah. One of the interviewees in the class of our own, Professor Emeritus Buffy Bundy is her name, who studied Gloria, says, and it's really stuck with me, you know, every kid wants to learn. You may think they're acting up. Well, they're acting up because we're not teaching them the right way. You teach them the right way and they will be engaged and excited to learn.
That's right. They won't have time to get bored. They will be in there and they'll be excited to go back the day after as well. So Boaz, I'm going to bring our conversation to a close now. I really appreciate your time for talking with me, for getting into the details of Class of Her Own. I am going to connect with your other projects. Now that I know that they're so easy to get to, sometimes filmmakers keep their films in the archive and you can't connect with their you can't connect with their work, but it's so great that I can just go to one of the platforms I'm already streaming. I can connect with your work there. So I'm wishing you the absolute best. And hopefully I'll see you on the other side. I'll definitely see you in Orlando.
Yes, I look forward to meeting you in person in a couple of weeks. Thank you
Yes.
so much,
Yes.
Gabby.
Okay, Boaz.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Ciao.